Gentlemen, let's talk about one of the most powerful shifts you'll ever make, not just in dating, but in life. It's the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop trying to prove yourself, the moment you stop caring completely, not in a bitter, cold-hearted way, but in a detached, self-respecting, evolved way. That moment, it changes everything. You see, most men waste years of their lives wrapped up in the approval of others, especially from women, constantly wondering, did she text back? Did I say the right thing? Does she still care about me? But here's the truth. The second you stop caring whether or not she approves, you reclaim your power. You stop being reactive and start being magnetic. That shift in energy flips the entire dynamic. Here are 5 powerful things that happen when you stop caring completely. When you stop caring completely, something powerful happens inside you. You become emotionally free. Most men don't realize how much of their mental and emotional energy is tied up in someone else's actions, attention, or approval. They're constantly checking their phones, overthinking conversations, replaying what went wrong, or trying to decode silence. This creates anxiety, insecurity, and emotional chaos. But when you reach that point where you truly stop caring, all of that noise quiets down. You no longer live in reaction to someone else's behavior. Emotional freedom means you're no longer attached to outcomes. If she texts you, great. If she doesn't, you're still good. You're not living your day based on whether she gives you attention or validation. That detachment isn't about being bitter or numb. It's about self-respect. It's about realizing that your peace is too valuable to hand over to someone who hasn't earned it. The silence no longer stings. The indifference no longer shakes you. You don't feel the need to explain, beg, or prove yourself anymore. This kind of freedom allows you to think clearly and act with purpose. Instead of being caught up in emotional loops, you become grounded. You make decisions from a place of strength, not weakness. You begin to reconnect with yourself, your goals, and your passions. That shift alone often makes you more attractive, not just to her, but to everyone around you. People sense when a man is at peace with himself, when he's no longer chasing anything outside of himself to feel whole. That energy is rare and powerful. When you stop caring, you free yourself from emotional slavery. You reclaim your time, your mind, and your dignity. And that, more than anything, makes you dangerous, in the best way possible. When you stop caring completely, your self-worth begins to shift from something external to something deeply internal. Most men unknowingly tie their value to how they're treated, especially in relationships. If she compliments them, they feel confident. If she ignores them, they spiral. This creates a fragile sense of identity, one that rises and falls depending on someone else's attention. But when you stop needing that validation, you start to build your self-worth from a place that no one else can touch. This internal foundation doesn't come from ego. It comes from action. You begin to invest in yourself through discipline, routine, personal growth, and purpose. Every time you stick to your word, push through a workout, make progress on your goals, or say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're reinforcing the belief that you are enough. You start to trust yourself more. You don't wait for someone to tell you you're valuable. You already know it. And that certainty radiates from within. What's powerful is that when your worth becomes internal, you stop reacting to disrespect or distance with desperation. You don't try to force love or convince someone to care. You recognize your own value, and you're willing to walk away from anything that threatens your peace. That mindset alone is incredibly rare and incredibly attractive. Women sense it immediately. There's a calm confidence in a man who doesn't need anything from her emotionally to feel whole. Building internal self-worth doesn't happen overnight, but it starts the moment you stop handing that power to someone else. You become the source of your own validation. And in doing so, you step into a version of yourself that is unshakable, grounded, and far more magnetic than any man begging for approval. When you stop caring completely, Women feel that shift almost immediately, even if you don't say a word. Your energy changes. You're no longer the guy waiting for her call, overthinking every interaction, or walking on eggshells to avoid losing her. Instead, you move with a calm, grounded presence that says, "I'm good either way." That kind of emotional detachment isn't cold, it's powerful, and it sparks curiosity. Why? Because most women are used to being chased. They're used to men falling apart when they pull away. But when you don't, it creates mystery. Suddenly, she begins to wonder why you're not reacting. Why aren't you reaching out? Why aren't you trying to fix things? That curiosity can quickly turn into intrigue, and that intrigue can shift the entire dynamic. What was once her pulling away becomes her leaning back in, trying to figure you out. It's human nature. We want what feels just out of reach. But the key here isn't manipulation. It's about being genuinely detached, not pretending to be. Because real detachment isn't a strategy, it's a mindset. When you genuinely stop caring, you take the pressure off the interaction. You stop trying to get something and start focusing on who you are and how you live. That's when she starts to feel something different around you. You're not reactive, you're not chasing, you're not trying to prove anything. You've stepped out of the emotional tug of war, and that calm, quiet strength speaks louder than any words. Ironically, it's often when you stop trying to make her feel something that she starts feeling everything. Because what's more attractive than a man who's already complete, who isn't trying to earn her, but is simply living in his own power? That's when the dynamic flips, and she starts chasing you. When you stop caring completely, you naturally shift from attracting others out of neediness to attracting from a place of strength. Neediness is a relationship killer because it signals insecurity and desperation. When you chase love, approval, or attention, you give away your power and lower your value in her eyes. She senses it on a deep, almost instinctual level. It's not attractive, it's exhausting. But when you stop caring, you remove that neediness from the equation. Instead of begging for affection or validation, you become a man who stands firm in his worth, regardless of how she responds. Attracting from strength means you show up in your own life first. You build a fulfilling world around yourself, your goals, passions, friendships, and daily routines. You don't rely on her to complete you or define your happiness. That confidence and independence naturally draw people in because it signals emotional maturity and stability. When you don't need someone else to feel whole, you become magnetic. She feels it, and it triggers her attraction in a way chasing never will. This shift also changes your interactions. You stop over-explaining or trying too hard to please. You speak and act with quiet confidence because you're not trying to win anyone's love. You're simply being yourself. This honesty and self-assurance create respect and desire. Women want to be with men who value themselves highly and aren't afraid to set boundaries or walk away if treated poorly. Ultimately, attracting from strength is about reclaiming your power and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It's not about being arrogant or cold. It's about being centered, self-assured, and comfortable in your own skin. When you embody this energy, you stop chasing love because love begins to come to you naturally. That's the game changer. When you stop caring completely, you begin to lead your life again with clarity and purpose. For many men, so much time and energy is spent waiting on someone else, waiting for a text, an apology, or some form of closure. This waiting game drains your power and leaves you stuck in a state of emotional limbo. But the moment you let go of caring about how she feels or what she's doing, you reclaim control over your own path. You stop being a passenger in your life and start driving your own journey. Leading your life means focusing on your goals, passions, and personal growth, instead of fixating on a relationship that may or may not work out. It's about setting a vision for yourself that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval or presence. When you shift your attention to your own ambitions, whether it's building a career, improving your health, or developing new skills, you create momentum that propels you forward. This momentum is empowering because it reminds you that your happiness and success are your responsibility, not hers. This attitude also signals to women that you are a man with standards and self-respect. You're not desperate for validation or stuck in emotional neediness. Instead, you're a man who knows his worth and isn't afraid to move on if a situation doesn't serve him. That level of confidence is magnetic and naturally draws others toward you. Ultimately, leading your life again means you stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to be happy or fulfilled. You become the creator of your own reality. This mindset shift frees you from emotional dependence and puts you back in the driver's seat, stronger, wiser, and ready to attract the right people who respect and appreciate the man you've become.